Good morning, dear students. I am Dr. Sukhwant Singh, Associate Professor at Sagar Institute of Research Technology and Science Pharmacy, a constituent college of the SAGE Group. As you all know that we have been disconnected for a longer time due to this outbreak of COVID-19. We have all planned to execute our lectures and take your lectures online via Zoom app and the various other apps like Facebook app. And previously, we have also talked to you people on the Facebook app, and we have been taking classes. And we have already completed with our regular syllabus through this channel. And from yesterday onwards, we have started with the revision of all the portions. And in this context, today I'll be talking about the beta-lactam antibiotics, and we'll be revising on the beta-lactam antibiotics from today onwards. Okay. So I again welcome you all. I, Dr. Sukhwant Singh, SIRTS Pharmacy, SAGE Group. Welcome you all again to the revision classes of beta-lactam. Now, what I'll be doing is that I'll be sharing my PowerPoint presentation with you people via the sharing app of this Zoom app, and I'll share my screen. Okay, so please hold on. Okay, students. So now I welcome you all again. And as I was talking that today we'll be talking about the beta-lactam antibiotics. So now let us start with the beta-lactam antibiotics. Beta-lactam antibiotics are the most widely produced and most widely used antibacterial drugs in this world, and they have been ever since their initial clinical trials in the year 1941. Now, during my regular classes, we talked about the mortality of population versus emergencies that have been declared in the World War I and World War II. And we found out that there was a huge difference. And we also came to an understanding during my regular classes that this has happened due to the advent of this particular antibiotic, which is termed as beta-lactam antibiotics. And beta-lactams were the responsible agents for severe uh, rise in the patient who recovered from the fatal wounds rather than in the World War I. So what I mean to say is that antibiotics have been around, and since the Second World War, they have been forerunner in saving the lives of a lot of people. Now, beta-lactams are divided into several classes based on their structure and functions, and are often named by their origin, but all the classes have a common beta-lactam ring structure. This is the beta-lactam ring structure. And this is common to all the classes of beta-lactams. Now let us look at a brief history of antibiotics and antimicrobial agents. In 1928, Alexander Fleming discovers a mold which inhibits the growth of Staphylococcus bacteria. Alexander Fleming was the person who first of all discovered this mold. In 1940, penicillin is isolated and tested on mice by researchers at Oxford. In 1941, penicillin is mass produced by fermentation for use of US soldiers in the World War II. And finally, in year 1950s, the 6-amino penicillinic acid is discovered and semi-synthetic penicillins are discovered and developed. And 1960 to today, novel beta-lactamase inhibitors are discovered and modified from the natural products of bacteria. Please note that we are using two different terms. First is beta-lactam and the second is beta-lactamase. And this MASE or the ASE tells us that this is an enzyme inhibitor. So the target of this beta-lactam antibiotics in general is to target the cell wall synthesis. Actually, the bacterial cell wall is a cross-linked polymer, which is called as peptidoglycan, which allows the bacteria to maintain its shape despite the internal turgor pressure caused by osmotic pressure differences. What I mean to say here is that the bacterial cell wall is composed of a cross-linked polymer which is termed as peptidoglycan. And if the peptidoglycan fails to cross-link, the cell wall will lose its strength, which will result in the cell lysis or the cell death. That is, it is utmost important that the cell wall, which is made up of peptidoglycan, it be composed without any faults. And if these peptidoglycans fail to cross-link, then of course the cell wall that is formed is faulty or it can be porous. And if it is porous, it will lead to the leakage of the cell components inside the bacteria, the cytoplasmic constituents, and as a result, the cytoplasm may also leak out and ultimately leading to the death of the bacterial cell. Now, all beta lactams disrupt the synthesis of bacterial cell wall by interfering with the transpeptidase, which catalyzes this cross-linking processes. So, bacterial cell wall synthesis is inhibited by the beta lactam enzyme because it interferes with the transpeptidase enzyme which is present in the bacteria and responsible for the normal cross-linking process of the peptidoglycan in the bacteria. And since beta lactam is targeting these transpeptidase enzymes, therefore the cell wall synthesis in the bacteria is a faulty one, and the bacteria cannot uh, withstand the presence of antibiotic, and therefore its cell wall disrupts, and ultimately it leads to the cell lysis of the bacterial cell wall. Now, peptidoglycan, it is basically a carbohydrate which is composed of alternating units of the NAM-A and NAG-A. The NAM-A units have a peptide side chain which can be cross-linked from the L-lysine residue to the terminal D-alanine ring link on the neighboring NAM-A unit. What I mean to say here is that this is the composition of the normal composition of peptidoglycan, which is ultimately a carbohydrate, and it consists of alternating units of NAM-A and NAG-A. And this cross-linking is actually done from L-lysine to terminal to D-alanine terminal on the NAM. This is done directly in gram-negative bacteria and via a pentaglycine bridge and on the N-lysine residue in the gram-positive bacteria. This clearly indicates that the susceptibility of gram-positive bacteria is much more than that of gram-negative bacteria. So here you can look at the structure of peptidoglycan, and here we can see that these subunits and this cross-linking is somehow done. And this cross-linking is done with help of the enzyme which is transpeptidase, and these are the alternating NAM-A and NAG-A subunits, and this is the glycosidal chain that I was telling you. Now this PVP is a penicillin binding protein, which we will talk about in the next slide. Now transpeptidase and the penicillin binding proteins. The cross-linking reaction is catalyzed by a class of transpeptidases known as the penicillin binding proteins. Please take care of this name, penicillin binding proteins, and this name in itself tells us that these proteins have got a very high affinity for penicillin. A critical part of the process is the recognition of the D-alanine sequence of the NAM-A peptide side chain by the penicillin binding protein. Interfering with this recognition disrupts the cell wall synthesis. Beta lactams mimic the structure of D-alanine linkage and bind to the active sites of penicillin binding proteins, disrupting the cross-linking process. So the structure of beta lactam is similar to that of this D-alanine link, and ultimately this beta-lactam mimics the structure and binds to the active site of PBPs, and therefore this cross-linking is inhibited. So this look at the similarities of the structure. This is the structure of a beta-lactam antibiotic. This one is beta-lactam antibiotic, and this is the D-alanine cross-link. So here we can see that this uh, beta-lactam incorporates itself due to the similarity of the structure. Here we can see that the structures is quite similar, that of beta-lactam and the natural D-alanine and D-alanine linkage. So this is why the beta-lactam can easily incorporate itself on the transpeptides or PBPs. So let us talk of the mechanism of beta-lactam drugs. The amide of the beta-lactam ring is unusually reactive due to the ring strain and conformational arrangement, which does not allow the lone pair of the nitrogen to interact with the double bond of the carbonyl. The beta-lactams acetylate the hydroxyl groups on the serine residue of the PBP active sites in an irreversible manner, and this reaction is further aided by the oxyanion hole, which stabilizes the tetrahedral intermediate and thereby reduces the transition state energy. So this is the amide portion. Yeah. So this is the amide portion, and this amide of the beta-lactam ring is unusually reactive due to the ring strain and conformational arrangement, and this does not allow the lone pair of nitrogen to interact with the double bond of the carbonyl. Okay, so this is where the whole reaction starts, and this is why the beta-lactams acetylate the hydroxyl group on the serine residue of the PBP in a irreversible manner. This we have to keep in mind, that it binds irreversibly to the serine residue of the PBP active site. And this reaction is further aided by the oxyanion hole, which stabilizes the tetrahedral intermediate and reduces the transition state energy. So this hydroxyl attacks the amide and forms a tetrahedral intermediate. Here we can see this is the serine hydroxyl residue, and this serine hydroxyl attacks the amide and forms a tetrahedral intermediate. Now the tetrahedral intermediate collapses, the amide bond is broken, and the nitrogen is reduced. So this now we can see that this is a tetrahedron, and this tetrahedron collapses due to the instability, and the amide bond is finally broken down, and therefore this nitrogen is reduced. Here we can see that how the PBP is now covalently bound to the drug and cannot perform the cross-linking action. Here the PBP is now covalently bound to the drug, and therefore it cannot perform the cross-linking action. Now there is a very important phenomenon that is seen to occur, and this phenomenon is decreasing the, let us say, mortality of the bacteria or the effect of antibiotic as such, because the bacteria and the other species are starting to show resistance now. So now let us discuss this point of bacterial resistance, that bacteria have many methods with which to combat the effects of beta-lactam type drugs. Intrinsic defenses such as efflux pumps can remove the beta-lactams from the cell. So what these bacteria have come up with, they have come up with efflux pump, which specifically recognizes this penicillins, and they flush out this penicillin from the cell, and as a result, or the beta-lactam from the cell. As a result, beta-lactam is not available to react inside the cell. Secondly, they have developed enzymes, and these enzymes are called as beta-lactamase. The beta-lactamase enzymes hydrolyze the amide bond of the beta-lactam ring and rendering the drug useless. So beta-lactamase can attack this amide bond of beta-lactam and render it useless by hydrolyzing the amide bond. And bacteria may acquire resistance through mutation at the genes which control production of PBPs, altering the active site and binding affinity of the beta-lactam antibiotic. Now the range of activity, let us talk about it. Beta-lactams can easily penetrate gram-positive bacteria, but the outer cell membrane of gram-negative bacteria prevents diffusion of the beta-lactam drug. And beta-lactams can be modified to make use of import porins in the cell membrane. Beta cells have also difficulty in penetrating human cell membrane, making them ineffective against atypical bacteria which inhabit the human cells. And any bacteria which lacks peptidoglycan in their cell wall will not be affected by beta lactams. So what the enzymes have come up with? They have come up with the beta lactamase enzyme, and since gram-positive bacteria have peptidoglycan layer accessible, therefore beta-lactam can easily penetrate them. Whereas in gram-negative bacteria, the peptidoglycan layer is sandwiched between two layers, and therefore beta-lactam cannot reach that site. But of course, beta-lactams can be modified to import porins, and therefore they can cross this membrane. Now let us talk of the toxicity. Beta-lactam targets PVPs exclusively, and because of human cell membranes do not have because human cell membranes do not have this type of proteins, beta-lactams are relatively non-toxic compounds compared to other drugs which target common structures such as ribosomes. About 10% of the population is allergic. Sometimes very serious allergies like Stevens-Johnson syndromes are seen in some penicillin type beta-lactams. So the students who have joined just now, I would like to welcome you all on behalf of Sagar Institute of Research, Technology and Science Pharmacy, a constituent of the SAGE group. I am Dr. Sukhwant Singh, and we are talking about the medicinal chemistry of 6th semester. And currently the topic that we are revising is beta-lactam enzymes, beta-lactam antibiotics, sorry. Now let us talk about the various classes of beta-lactams. The classes of beta-lactams are distinguished by the variation in the ring, which is adjoining to the beta-lactam ring and the side chain at the alpha position. So it is identified by the ring which is adjoining to beta-lactam. So if we call the beta-lactam as a ring A, then any variations that are occurring in the ring B and the variations which are occurring here, these will distinguish between various classes of antibiotics of beta-lactam category. So why beta-lactams are being modified? They are being modified in order to improve their abilities. What are these abilities? They are modified to be improved to their ability to be administered orally, so that they are able to survive acidic conditions, so that they can be tolerated by patients who are having allergies to beta-lactam. They are improved in such a way that they are easily penetrating the outer membrane of even gram-negative bacteria, where they do not easily cross the membrane or they are not easily reaching the peptidoglycan layer. They are also modified to prevent the hydrolysis of the molecule because of the enzyme beta-lactamases. And lastly, they are modified to acetylate the PVP resistant species, as there are many different types of penicillin binding proteins which are changing their structures on a basis of genus. The natural penicillins are those which can be obtained directly from the penicillium mold, and they do not require further modification. Many species of bacteria are now resistant to these penicillin. The most common one is penicillin G. Here we can see that the ring A is beta-lactam and ring B is thiazolidine ring. Okay, so ring B is thiazolidine. Penicillin G is not active orally. It has to be administered through systemic circulation. Penicillin G cannot be administered orally due to the acidic conditions of the stomach, and therefore because this acid is liable to react with this penicillin, and as a result the penicillin G will not work if it is given through the oral route, because it reacts severely with the acidic conditions of the stomach. Penicillin V, or the penicillin fifth, is produced when phenoxyacetic acid rather than phenylacetic acid is introduced to the penicillium culture. So instead of phenylacetic acid, if the raw material provided to the for the growth of Penicillium notatum is phenoxyacetic acid, then we get penicillin V or penicillin V, and adding the oxygen decreases the nucleophilicity of the carbonyl group, making penicillin V acid stable and orally viable. All commercially available beta lactams are initially produced through fermentation of bacteria. Bacteria assemble the penicillin molecule from L-AAA, L-valine, and L-cysteine in the 3 steps using the various synthetic enzymes which are present, like ACV synthase, IPN synthase, and acyl transferase. So I will not talk much about it because this is the general information that we need to have. The biosynthetic pathway is given here, how we can synthesize penicillin from L-amino adipic acid, L-cysteine, and D-valine with help of enzymes ACP tripeptide, isopenicillin N, and ultimately we get penicillin G or cephalosporin. So this is how a mass synthesis of penicillins takes place in pharmaceutical plants. These are various incubators where or biosynthesizers where synthesis takes place. Now let us talk a bit about semisynthetic penicillin. The acyl side chain of penicillin molecule can be cleaved using enzyme or chemical methods to produce 6-APA, which can further be used to produce semisynthetic penicillin or cephalosporin. During my classes, we have talked about the structural elucidation of the penicillin molecule, and we talked how 6-APA or 6-amino penicillinic acid is a very important raw material